But let's start out here with these fires and kind of catch you up to date on the very latest. We just had another update here within about the last hour or so. So we have these 3 wildfires burning in northeastern Minnesota, west of the North Shore, sort of straight west of like where Split Rock Lighthouse is, probably about 30 minutes to 45 minutes west of there. So these are still burning, uncontrolled. They are growing quickly. We have the Camp House fire, the Jenkins Creek fire, and then the smaller Munger Shaw fire. And you can see them here on the map. And a lot of acres. You can see the acreage there on the graphic to the left of your screen. That is the very latest that we have. So one of the big stories today, as you can see, is that Jenkins Creek fire, which was the second one that started, which was kind of in the middle of the 2 yesterday, has now become bigger than the original fire, which was the Camp House fire. So at almost 21,000 acres, Jenkins Creek fire now the largest. These 3 sort of combined, if you were to put them together, just to give you an idea, we're talking about more than 35,000 acres, which in perspective, 55 square miles. And if you look up what city is about 55 square miles, the city of Minneapolis proper, we're talking about, if you combine all of that acreage that's being destroyed right now. And again, most importantly here, the big story of today, again, still zero containment. A lot more individual structures destroyed, property in the last 24 hours, about 140 plus destroyed homes and cabins. We're talking about some evacuations as well. So joining me now is St. Louis County Sheriff Gordon Ramsay. You've been with us the last couple of days. We really appreciate you taking some time. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me. Thanks for keeping us in mind up here.
Oh, absolutely. Anything we can do to kind of help keep the word out. I know there's a lot of moving parts here, but I guess first and foremost, so frustrating for you. We have zero containment today, and I think a lot of people were hoping to see that number go up. How are you guys doing?
Good. There's zero containment, but the fire didn't move a significant amount, and the existing fires are in in the middle of wilderness areas right now. They're not really close to any major areas where there's structures. Well, so from that perspective, good. Things are better.
Can you talk about the Jenkins fire? And now, so it looks like it's kind of closing in on that Camp House. Have the 2 touched yet, or are they close to combining?
No, they're close. I don't know if they will combine. So much depends on the winds, the wind speeds. It is I'm not a firefighter, but yeah. I have learned that so much of this is just unpredictable. Yeah. It depends so much on the winds.
Oh, absolutely. Which direction have the winds been coming here in the last 12 hours or so? And is it still shifting north?
Yeah, the winds today are southeast. Okay. And they're a little slower. It's about 6 miles an hour with gusts up to 12. Okay. So that... But it's predicted it may change later today. Yeah, it's an unbelievable battle when you have to battle just even the slightest tweak in the winds. So as we're talking about the direction of these fires and where they are sort of moving, you said they haven't really spread as much, which is really good news. But what is in sort of the path right now, the areas that you're focusing on? Well, the areas they're focusing on, one is where there's any population or structures. So we're keeping an eye on the Bassett-Cadott Lake area from the Brimson fire. The fire over the last 24 hours has only moved about 0.6 of a mile in that direction, but there's still a fair amount of distance. Now, if those winds go the right direction toward those lakes, that could complicate things. Okay.
And then how about evacuations? How are those going? Again, we're talking about sort of individual properties here and there, not really a populous area. Yep. But how are the evacuations going?
Yeah, everything's status quo from yesterday. Those are continuously evaluated based on the direction of the fire and other factors related to safety.
Okay. Where are people going? Where do you want them to go? And have you had any issues where people are saying we're not leaving?
Oh, certainly. There's probably 1 in 10 people do not want to leave. They don't want to leave their homes. We had one individual in an area not really threatened, but definitely an area they should be considering evacuating, said the only way he was going to leave his home was toes up. So there's people that feel that way out there, and that's a concern of ours, because we do have homes that have burnt, and we are having to expend resources on trying to find out if those people are safe right now. And that is obviously those numbers are growing as we find more structures that have burnt. We want to make sure that the people who live in those are indeed safe.
Yeah. And how about notifications? I mean, people signing up for notifications, are they getting them in their phones? Are you going sort of door to door still?
Yeah, well, we really haven't had anything today as far as evacuations go. So, but door to door is the way we have been doing it, as well as phone, as well as internet. If people go to the sheriff's webpage or the St. Louis County webpage, you can see the current evacuation zones, and those are updated continuously as those change.
Yeah. As you're mentioning the folks who don't want to go, and we see this, whether it's a hurricane or whatever may be the case, those who decide that they want to stay, what kind of decisions do you guys have to make about do we circle back, or do we just kind of need to move on and try to help other people? What's the process like?
Well, we're tracking that, who said they would go and who said they would stay. So we have a database with that information. But that's not to say someone said I'm going to leave and they don't leave. So it's a tricky situation, and one of the best ways is, most of the time people have neighbors or friends in the area, and if there's concerns about someone, we would appreciate a call to 911 if they're worried that someone is not safe or may have been in a home that burned. Okay.
Can we talk about some of the challenges, I guess, on the ground? Yesterday I was listening to some of the interviews late last night, and they were talking about how unable to get sort of boots on the ground where they need to be. Where are the firefighting efforts on the ground right now?
Well, I didn't catch the firefighting briefing on where they're deploying their assets, but I can tell you this much, is that they have, every day the number of firefighters grows that are here fighting these fires. And I've seen volunteers from across the state. I've seen full-time firefighters from across the state. The DNR is continuing to bring in more, as well as the feds. I was out late last night, and one of the leads on one fire rig that I talked to, he was from Wisconsin, and I don't know if that was if he was with the DNR or who he was with, but there's people here from all over the country helping with these fires.
And we know that the Governor Walz deployed the National Guard yesterday, a couple of additional helicopters, some aerial support. How critical has that support been from the air to be able to fight these fires?
Well, one of the most reassuring things is that there had been aircraft stationed here before these fires started. I know of at least 7 or 8 helicopters and planes that were out actively fighting these on Sunday, and we believe that the preparation, just having those ready to go, definitely slowed the fire and probably saved this from getting worse.
Have you had a chance? First of all, you probably haven't had much sleep. I'm guessing a lot of your crews haven't. Have you had a chance, though, to kind of talk to folks who have either lost property or are waiting to go back in to see what they may have lost? And what's that been like?
Yeah, well, it's heartbreaking. You're not allowing people to go back in to see how their house is. Some people want to, in areas where the fire's expanded, they wanted to take family heirlooms or pictures or whatever, and that's not easy to do for public safety people. I mean, but ultimately their safety and well-being is our primary concern.
Yeah.
What we do see is more time that goes on that people haven't been allowed to get back to their homes or get answers to their questions. It does cause frustration, and I know all of us, fire service and public safety, are working to get people answers, and as soon as people can go back to their homes safely, we'll let them. But one of the things that's happening now in these areas where we've had a significant fire go through, a lot of trees are down, they burn, they get weak, and they fall over, and some of these trees are 100-plus-year-old pine trees that are enormous in size. So a lot of roads are blocked, hindering access. There is a lot of work ahead on this fire, and as we find more and more devastation, this is probably going to go down as one of the more historic fires in Minnesota in our lifetime.
Wow. Obviously, the message that we talked about this yesterday as well, just to reiterate, is to stay out of those areas, and people will face consequences if they are sort of in these areas where they're not supposed to be. Just want to reiterate that to folks.
Yeah, it's. I know a lot of people are interested in seeing. A lot of people have friends that they're worried about, or just want to see an area they used to be in. But the reality is that we have had people hindering firefighters' efforts to stop the fire, stop their overall efforts, and make them less effective. So people need to stay away, and I think most people are adhering to that now. And if they are going around barricades, road closed signs, expect a ticket.
Only obviously a couple days into this, and there's so many different angles that you guys are fighting this from. But we talked a little bit yesterday about the potential causes here, again, early on, but you called it sort of an art form, the investigation into fires. And I wonder if you can kind of talk to us a little bit more about that and how, you're starting to narrow down where these fires may have sparked.
Yeah, well, the DNR with the state fire marshals and our investigators are working to determine, how exactly they started, what happened, and put together those puzzle pieces. So there's a lot of elements to this fire. A lot of people think of just the fire burning itself and putting that out. But as I mentioned, there is our efforts to find people that, are they safe? Did they get out of their house? We've got a team of investigators working on that. We've got this issue with determining how did these fires start? And so there is a lot of moving parts to these fires that are going on behind the scenes that people don't know about.
Yeah, and we talked about the camp house and the possibility that they're looking into possibly an unattended campfire, just kind of reiterating that, and even getting so close as to identifying a person here. Is that right?
Yeah, well, we have the 911 calls, and so we go from there, and it was initially reported that it came from an unattended campfire. The Three Lakes Road, or the Munger Shaw fire, that was a farm owner who said one of their hay bales combusted. So that's where the starting point is on these, and determining if that's actually what led to these fires, if they were a contributing factor or not.
Yeah. And just kind of generally speaking, people will be sort of charged and be held accountable, if and when it's determined that they were sparking these fires. Is that correct?
Yeah, sometimes innocently enough, you think you can have a campfire. Right now, it's legal to have a campfire, but ultimately, if that campfire does spread, you could potentially have criminal charges and even civil issues down the road if you are responsible for that. Okay. If it turns out to be a fire that damages property or injures people.
Yeah. How are you doing? How are your folks doing? The local folks in all of this? Are you getting some reprieve from other folks who are able to come in and give you breaks, or how are you all taking care of each other?
Yeah. Well, this is people in public safety live for this kind of stuff, and this is why they do it. They want to help people out, keep people safe, put out fires, and make our communities better. So the people that are here have heart, and we have a lot of volunteers. As a matter of fact, the truck behind me, that's driven by a volunteer for our rescue squad. The amount of volunteer firefighters. Last night, I saw an electrician that had worked on my house on a fire line off of Highway 16, and he's got a normal everyday job, and he's out taking time away from his family and job to keep people safe. That's very admirable.
Yeah. We really appreciate you taking some time out. You have so much to do right now, and if we can help in any way, just get word out about evacuations if those end up coming up again or anything like that. Just let us know what we can do. We appreciate your efforts and the efforts of everybody there, and we are all thinking of you and hope that you stay safe.
Thank you. We appreciate you not forgetting us.
For sure.
Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Sheriff Ramsay, St. Louis County Sheriff, giving us an update here today.